In this season of politics, where everyone is politicking, assuming and anticipating results from the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, it is pertinent that Eveafrique Business and News keep you informed with insights from the minds of candidates in the electoral race across the Niger Delta. We begin this in an exclusive interview with Senator Magnus Ngei Abe, who hails from Ogoni Kingdom in River State, Nigeria, with a law degree from the River State University of Science and Technology in 1986. Kicking off his law career after he was called to the Nigerian bar in 1987, Magnus Abe started work as a pupil state counsel for the Federal Ministry of Justice in Lagos State, Nigeria, and later went into private practice with leading law firms in Portharcourt, including Okocha and Okocha Manuchim Chambers. He also served as a managing partner at Etim-Inyang Abe law firm. He was a member of Youth Day Committee on the anniversary of the creation of River State in 1992. He was a member of Bylaws Drafting Committee, NBA. He was the secretary of Dinner and Welfare Committee, NBA. He was also the secretary of Grand Council of Nigeria. Politically, Magnus Ngei Abe stands as tall as he has served as a minority leader in the River State House of Assembly in 1999 under the People's Democratic Party in the administration of His Excellency Dr. Peter Odili. He has served as a Commissioner of Information between 2003 to 2007 during Governor Peter Odili's tenure. Magnus Abe has also served as a Secretary to River State Government in the Governor Rotimi Amechi's administration in 2007. In 2011, Magnus contested and won the senatorial position to represent Rivers Southeast Senatorial Zone at the National Assembly on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, and he went on to win the same senatorial position after a rerun on the All Progressive Congress platform. He is currently a gubernatorial candidate in River State under the Social Democratic Party. Stay tuned and listen to talks on how Senator Magnus Ngei Abe plans to revamp River State.
To be very honest with you, what I know is that we all know by now that these areas do tend to get flooded every once in a while. And I keep saying to people that it's only a tree that, you tell the tree you're coming to cut the tree down, and then the tree waits there until you go home, get your axe, come back, go and have lunch, come back, the tree is still waiting, and then you start cutting. We know there is a problem here. There are several little things that we can do to mitigate the flooding. One, we can sweep the creeks and canals around there to try to desilt it to enable the traffic, the water traffic, move faster. Secondly, there are critical infrastructure that we can build differently, even by putting, pipes or drains under the road so that the water can cross from one side of the road to another without necessarily destroying the road when it has nowhere to pass. Thirdly, we could even plan our homes and communities differently by creating avenues for the water to pass, within the community without necessarily sweeping everything away, and all that. So we can even have canals to help bypass certain communities. And even when we do have flooding, we can respond much faster if we are prepared and we understand that this is a situation that is likely to occur. So there's so many things we can do differently and do better. But the one thing I have assured the people that we will not do is that we will not just wait for the flood to happen and then start acting as if we are surprised when, when the thing could not have been a surprise. I don't know which politician would tell you that the election will not, electorate should not be swayed by promises, because essentially, even students' union election, you have to promise something. But I think the person meant to say is that the electorate should not be swayed by empty promises. When people don't have a track record of keeping to their words, you can't rely on their words to alter your position. When people don't have a track record of interest in a subject matter, if they suddenly begin to show interest in that subject matter, you cannot take them seriously. I believe that we have established a track record in the things that we're talking about. If I'm talking about education, for example, I've always talked about education. I've always done things about education. I've always invested in education. I've always supported education. The records are there over the years consistently. So if I come now and I talk about education, I talk about students' welfare and all that, people will be swayed by it because they know that it is something that I have been doing. And so they expect that, you know, you could do more if you had a wider opportunity to do more. But when you have people who have no track record, who have no relationship with the state, all of a sudden either want to run on somebody else's record or you want to start talking about something you have never mentioned before in your life, I think the electorate will be dumb to be swayed by that kind of rhetoric or promises. So yes, I do agree that the electorate should not be swayed by empty promises. But in an election, it's about promises and about how the people believe that, you know, you're a man of your word and you will keep your word. Because the election happens first before you get the opportunity to act. So how do they do it now if they are not swayed by promises? Well, first of all, I think that the most important thing we need to do as Rivers people is to come together across tribes, across religions, across origins, every kind of division. We need to bring ourselves together. Take a deep breath and then identify and isolate the challenges that we face as a community. I believe that if we're together, we have the brains and we have the capacity to solve all the challenges that we face. So that's one, bringing Rivers people together, uniting our people to begin to, you know, take away all the hatred and the bitterness and that has characterized our politics in the past, and, you know, bring a new, inclusive and totally how would I put it now, focus-based kind of administration. And I believe that I'm uniquely positioned to be able to do that. I am one person in Rivers State that, apart from very few people, there is nobody in Rivers State that I will call that will not return my call. Very few, you know? So, and I have everybody's number to begin with. So some of these people that are coming, they don't know anybody. People don't know them. They don't have anybody's number. They've never called anybody before. So they don't even have a track record of being able to bring people together. So I can bring people together. That's one. Two, we talk about education. What can we do differently in education? Like I've said severally, education is not just about what we build and don't build. Education is about what actually gets into the head of the children. And the functionality of that knowledge in the emerging world. We can't educate our children in isolation. What are people studying across the world? What is the market asking for? Everywhere I go, I'm confronted with children, people who graduated 10 years ago, no job, graduated 12 years ago, no job. So you find a pool of educated people that the society has practically rejected. They can't fit into the consumer market, you know, that consumes the products of our tertiary education. Not to talk of secondary education, there is absolutely no demand for that one at all. But before, in this country, people used to get jobs with secondary education, get jobs with university education. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the education that we are producing is totally off cue. It's not needed. That's not what the society needs. So we need to rejig our educational thinking. First, in forms of training. Secondly, in form of what do we really want to educate our children in. When I traveled abroad a few months ago and I was talking to people, I didn't see people reading the kind of courses that we're reading. The traditional way of educating children, it's not what the world is not moving in that direction. And we need to review that. So in terms of health, I have said that for me, health is not just about big hospitals and health centers and all that. Those are needed. But health is about how you feel, how you become productive from day to day. Do you understand what I mean? So if we focus more on preventive rather than curative medicine, I believe that we'll do much better. So what do I think? I think that if we train community health assistants, or whatever we'll call them, train them in such a manner that they are actually skilled in the usual routine medical conditions that people face in our localities, and inject them into the communities. Let them live there. Let them stay there with the people. If there is an emergency, they respond. If somebody feels that they respond, they get to know the history of the people, their blood pressure, who has diabetes, how we monitor them, who is getting medication, what kind of medication is required. And then they get to know if there is a spike in any kind of health condition in the community. Maybe the water is bad, because health is interrelated. Then we have to also train sanitary inspectors and return them to the communities. I don't see the impact of it if it's being done. And I don't know if they are being trained to do it. And I don't know where they are doing it. They are definitely not doing it in my village at the moment. So we train sanitary inspectors. They inspect the communities, make sure that, you know, people's lives are decent and, you know, primed towards healthy living. And then we'll even train physical instructors and send them to the communities. Let them teach people the benefits of, you know, physical exercise and all. So health today is not just about taking treatment. It is about lifestyle. It is about nutrition. It is about a whole lot of things which we as educated people know, and we are benefiting from that knowledge. It is time for us to share what we know and what we are enjoying with others who may not be as privileged as we are. And so that is how we're going to approach health from that preventive thing. I believe that a lot of people will learn a lot and they will become healthier, not necessarily from the medicine they take, but from the way they live. So we're going to talk about how to improve people's incomes. I have said from the beginning, and I want to repeat it here, that nobody sets up a business to employ people. People set up a business to make money. So the purpose of business is profit. Employment is a byproduct of the desire for profit. So how do we improve employment in the community? My response is to make the operating environment for businesses more conducive so that they can make more money. When they make more money, their business will expand, they'll employ more people. So we're going to build another industrial estate, with piped gas, and we'll partner with the banks so that people who come to invest there will have access to credit, and the government can give guarantees to help attract the right kind of investors. We're going to build an international market in partnership with the private sector, that will boost incomes and opportunities for Rivers people. We're going to work, to create an atmosphere where tech-driven kind of investors can be able to find space, to do the kind of things that people are doing, young people like to do these days in terms of tech opportunities and all that, which is an exciting corridor, for innovation and improvement. So in every area, we believe that if we focus on the challenges of Rivers people, we can make very, very outstanding changes that would help our people to live better lives and reduce their stress. My message really is that the 2023 elections will be pivotal, and in many ways it will be a unique experience for voters all across this country. For so long, people have voted, and it would appear that the more they vote, the less they get. I have come to the conclusion that this is not necessarily because the people we have been voting for are bad people, but it is more because the system we have been running is not a good system. It is not tailored to be able to deliver on any of your own expectations. Now that I'm running for office, you come around here, people are with me all the time, we're together, we move around, people are with you and all that. But once you get sworn into office, all these people are not going to be there. It's only the people who hold positions in the government that will be there. Now, what is going to happen to all these other people that have invested all this time and years running around with everybody else in the expectation that their own lives will improve? At the end of the day, if people get into the government, the total number of people that may serve in any given administration may not be more than 2,500. So if 2,500 people serve in a government every 4 years, it means that in 8 years, you have 5,000 people. In 16 years, you have 10,000. In 32 years, you have 20,000. In 64 years, you have 40,000. Now, if that is the only people who are going to benefit from the government, it is then clear that statistically, almost 90-something% of those who are participating in this process will get nothing. So that has been the problem. And that's why I have come up with a plan that will enable the government to focus on those who are not in government. How are we going to do that? We're going to bring a lot of innovation to how the government will run. The first thing we're going to do is that we're going to appoint officers of the government to serve those who are not in the government. And part of how we'll achieve that is that the governor has to give up all these extreme powers of the governor will have to be reduced. So to start with, we are going to nominate people with their portfolios. So we interview you if you're going to be commissioner for power. You convince us that you have ideas, you know what the problems of power will be, you have solutions to those problems, and you have a time plan for what we can achieve in power. When we are convinced that the ideas you're bringing are believable, then we nominate you to the House of Assembly. And when you get there, you will explain to Rivers people what you know about power, what the problems are, how many communities have power, how many don't have, how many are going to get power during your time, how you're going to ensure that happens, how many people are getting light, how many hours are they getting. We must have government that is focused and with targets. That's what we're going to do. And the government, the officers of the government must be accountable to the people, just like the governor. So we're not going to pack the government full of cronies who are there just to serve the interest of one person and loyalty to one person. That will not give us anything. So we're going to change that. I'm ready to reduce all that power of the governor. I'm ready to close work by 4:30 and go home and be with my children. Let people go and work and do their job. Give them the power to do the job. The only power that I will retain as the governor of Rivers State is the power to dislodge those who become clogs in the wheel of our progress as a community. If people come and make promises to us, and it is clear that they cannot meet those targets after we give them the requisite support that they have asked for, they will have to go. You know, and people will see why they're going because they couldn't meet up what they themselves said to the people. So it would be, if we have a target-driven administration, I'm sure it will be more purposeful to begin with than, you know, where you just get people and jamboree kind of government. So there will be a lot of things that will change, I assure you. What do I know for sure? I know the sun will shine tomorrow. That's for sure. And I know there's a God in heaven. That's also for sure. Okay?